story lovers, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're cracking open one of the most famous, and perhaps most mysterious, nursery rhymes of all time. Get ready to dive deep into the tale of Humpty Dumpty. Now, everyone knows the rhyme, right? Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. But have you ever stopped to wonder, who was Humpty Dumpty? The rhyme never actually says he's an egg. It's an assumption we've all made, thanks to centuries of illustrations, especially Lewis Carroll's depiction in Through the Looking Glass. So, if he wasn't an egg, what was he? Let's travel back in time. One of the most popular series takes us to the English Civil War. Back in the 1640s, the city of Colchester was under siege by the parliamentarians. The royalists defending the city had a secret weapon, a massive cannon they affectionately nicknamed Humpty Dumpty. This cannon was a beast. It was strategically placed on top of the Street Mary at the Wall Church Tower, giving it a commanding view of the battlefield. From this high perch, Humpty Dumpty rained down fire on the attacking forces, holding them at bay for weeks. It was the pride of the royalist defense. The cannon sat on its wall, powerful and seemingly invincible. But during the long and brutal siege, which lasted for 11 weeks, the tide began to turn. The parliamentarian forces, realizing the threat this cannon posed, concentrated their own artillery fire on the church tower. On a fateful day in 1648, a well-aimed cannonball struck the wall right beneath Humpty Dumpty. The foundation crumbled, and the massive cannon, our Humpty Dumpty, had a great fall. It tumbled from the tower and crashed to the ground below. The royalists scrambled. They knew how crucial that cannon was to their defense. So, all the king's men, the soldiers and engineers, rushed to the scene. They tried with all their might to lift the heavy, broken cannon and repair it. But it was too big, too heavy, and too damaged. The fall had been too great. Despite their best efforts, they couldn't put Humpty together again. The loss of their best defensive weapon was a major blow, and not long after, the city of Colchester surrendered. Isn't that an incredible story? A simple nursery rhyme suddenly transforms into a dramatic historical account of war, strategy, and defeat. The wall wasn't just any wall. It was a church tower. The fall wasn't a clumsy accident. It was a casualty of war. And Humpty Dumpty wasn't a fragile egg, but a formidable weapon of destruction. This series paints the rhyme in a whole new, much more serious light. But wait, the story doesn't end there. Like any good legend, there's more than one series. Another popular idea suggests that Humpty Dumpty wasn't a cannon, but a person. Specifically, King Richard III. Stick with me on this one. King Richard III is one of history's most controversial figures, often depicted as a villain, thanks in large part to Shakespeare. The Humpty Dumpty series about him links his physical description to the rhyme. Richard was said to have had a curved spine, which some historical accounts exaggerated into a hump. So, Humpty, a bit of a stretch? Maybe, but let's continue. Richard III sat on a wall, which in this context is a metaphor for sitting on the throne of England. He sat on his wall of power, and he most certainly had a great fall. His reign ended abruptly at the Battle of Bosworth Field in 1485. He was thrown from his horse during the battle, a literal fall. His horse was supposedly named Wall. So, he fell from his horse, Wall. After he fell, he was surrounded and defeated by the forces of Henry Tudor. All the king's horses and all the king's men, his own army, were unable to save him or put him back on the throne. They couldn't put their king together again. He lost his life and his crown on that battlefield, ending the Plantagenet dynasty and starting the age of the Tudors. So, in this version, the rhyme is a political allegory about the rise and fall of a king. From a Civil War canon to a medieval king, the identity of Humpty Dumpty is a fantastic historical puzzle. But what if the answer is simpler? What if the rhyme is just a riddle? Before it was a nursery rhyme, Humpty Dumpty was a popular riddle in 18th century England. The question was, what is Humpty Dumpty? And the answer? An egg. The rhyme gives you all the clues. It sits, it falls, it breaks, and once it's broken, no amount of effort can reassemble it. You can't unscramble an egg, right? All the king's horses and all his men can't fix a shattered shell and a runny yolk. This makes perfect sense. Nursery rhymes and riddles were often intertwined, used to entertain and teach children to think creatively. The image of a fragile egg-like character is something a child can easily understand. The impossibility of fixing it is a simple, memorable lesson. So perhaps the historians are overthinking it, and the most obvious answer is the correct one. Humpty Dumpty was always meant to be an egg, and the fun was in guessing the riddle. This is what makes folklore so fascinating. A simple, 4-line verse can hold so many potential meanings. It can be a hidden history lesson, a piece of political commentary, or a clever riddle passed down through generations. The story of Humpty Dumpty has evolved. What started as a riddle or a historical anecdote became a famous nursery rhyme. Then, Lewis Carroll gave him a face and a personality in Through the Looking Glass, where Humpty is the proud, argumentative intellectual who explains the meaning of words. He cemented the image of Humpty as a talking egg for all time. From that point on, Humpty Dumpty became a fixture in pop culture. We see him in books, cartoons, and movies. He's a symbol of something fragile and irretrievably broken. The phrase "a Humpty Dumpty situation" is even used to describe a problem that is impossible to solve. So, what do you think? Was Humpty a mighty cannon, a fallen king, or just a simple egg in a clever riddle? Each theory has its own charm and logic, and perhaps the real magic is that we'll never know for sure. The mystery is what keeps the story alive, allowing each new generation to wonder and imagine who, or what, Humpty Dumpty really was. It's a powerful reminder that the simplest stories can often have the deepest roots and the most complex meanings. They are time capsules, carrying whispers of history, politics, and human nature within their simple rhymes. The fall of Humpty Dumpty isn't just about a broken egg. It's about the fragility of power, the finality of destruction, and the idea that some things, once broken, can never be made whole again. And that's the story behind the story of Humpty Dumpty. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the world's most famous rhymes. Which theory do you believe? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love reading your ideas and theories. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to explore more hidden stories behind classic tales, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss an update. We'll see you in the next story.